All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at Hook Digital Marketing. They're kind of new on the scene.
Yeah, a new player.
And, I have to admit, when I first saw the name Hook Digital Marketing, I thought, oh, another one. Another marketing agency.
It's a crowded market out there. Tons of agencies.
But, as I dug a little deeper, there are a couple of things that caught my eye that make them seem a little bit different.
Yeah, what stood out to you?
Well, first of all, they bill themselves as a results-driven agency, which I feel like almost every agency says that. But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now.
Right, everyone claims to be results-driven.
But their main focus, their sweet spot, seems to be empowering thought leaders.
Interesting. That's a pretty specific niche.
It is. And they're mostly working in the U.S., Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So in this deep dive, we're going to try to figure out what makes Hook tick. What makes them different? What do they actually do? And how do they make sure that their clients feel confident working with them? That they're not going to get ripped off. All of that good stuff.
It's interesting that they focus on thought leaders. That's a term we hear a lot these days.
It is. And I think it can be a bit confusing because when I first saw that, I was like, okay, what does that even mean?
Exactly. Everyone's throwing that term around.
Like, do you have to have a certain number of followers to be a thought leader? Do you have to have written a book? Like, what
are the qualifications?
Yeah, what makes you a thought leader?
Well, the way Hook approaches it is they have kind of a three-pronged approach to thought leadership.
Okay, so they break it down into three parts. I like it. Categories.
Yeah, exactly. So the first one is personal branding strategy.
Okay, personal branding.
The second is content creation.
Content, gotta have that.
And then the last piece is media relations.
Okay, media relations. So it sounds like they're taking a pretty holistic approach to building thought leadership.
It seems that way. They're trying to cover all the bases.
So it's more than just like, hey, post your random thoughts on LinkedIn and you're a thought leader.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going beyond that.
They're really trying to develop a strategy.
Yeah, more structured approach.
So let's break down each of these three parts a little bit, starting with personal branding strategy. What do they mean by that?
Well, it seems like they help thought leaders to define their unique value proposition.
Okay, so what makes them stand out from the crowd?
Right. Why should people listen to them?
Yeah, what's their special sauce?
Exactly. And then also crafting a compelling narrative.
Yeah.
So not just what they do, but how they got there, their story.
Oh, I like that. So there's a story element to it, too.
Yeah, making them relatable and memorable.
Because I think sometimes people think of thought leadership as being very, buttoned up and serious.
Academic, almost.
Yeah, and it can be. But I think having that personal story element makes it more engaging for the audience.
Definitely. People connect with stories.
Okay, so that's personal branding. What about content creation? What kind of stuff are they doing there?
Well, it sounds like they help with a whole range of content. So things like articles, blog posts, videos.
Usual suspects.
Podcasts, even. Really anything that can showcase a thought leader's expertise and provide valuable insights to their target audience.
Okay, so it's not just about creating content for content's sake.
No, there's a purpose behind it.
It's about strategically positioning the thought leader as an expert in their field.
Exactly. Providing value to the audience.
Yeah, giving them something to really sink their teeth into. And then the last piece of the puzzle, media relations. What's that all about?
Well, that's where they help get the thought leader's message out to a wider audience, so getting them featured in publications on different platforms.
So not just creating the content, but making sure that it gets seen.
Exactly. Amplifying their reach.
So it sounds like they're really hitting all the major points of building thought leadership.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because they go beyond just thought leadership development.
That's what caught my eye, too. They're not just a one-trick pony.
They offer a whole range of services. Let me see if I can remember all of them. Content marketing, obviously. Social media management, SEO, PPC advertising.
So all the digital marketing essentials?
Yeah, email marketing, website development. They even offer consultancy services. Wow, that's a lot.
That's a pretty comprehensive suite of services.
It is. It really is. So it's like they can be a one-stop shop for all of your marketing needs.
That's what it sounds like.
But I think it's really smart from a strategic standpoint.
How so?
Because it means they can create these integrated marketing campaigns.
Ah, yeah, I see what you mean.
Like, they're not just siloing off different aspects of marketing. They're thinking about how it all works together.
That's really important in today's world.
It is. Everyone's talking about multi-channel marketing, omni-channel marketing.
Reaching people wherever they are.
Exactly. And if you have an agency that can handle all of that for you, it can be a huge advantage.
Streamlines things for the client, for sure.
Absolutely. But, with so many different services on offer, I wonder how they make sure they're using the right tool for the right job.
That's a good point. How do they decide what strategies to use?
Because, you could have all the tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use them properly, it's not going to do you any good.
You're just swinging a hammer at everything.
Exactly. And that's where their emphasis on data-driven decision-making comes in.
Ah, so they're not just going with their gut.
Nope. It sounds like they're really trying to use data to inform their decisions.
Which is how it should be, right? Taking the guesswork out of marketing.
Yeah, no more throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Right. Data-driven marketing is all about being strategic and intentional. So how does Hook approach it?
Well, from what I gather, they start by working with the client to set crystal clear goals. Like, what do they actually want to achieve with their marketing efforts?
So starting with the end in mind. Makes sense.
And they also establish KPIs,
Ah.
key performance indicators, so that they can track their progress and see if they're actually moving the needle.
So they're not just measuring vanity metrics, they're looking at the numbers that really matter.
Exactly. They're tracking things like website traffic, social media engagement, lead generation, conversions, the stuff that actually impacts the bottom line.
The stuff that clients actually care about.
Right. And then they analyze all of that data. Like, they really dig into it to figure out what's working, what's not working, and what they can do to improve.
They're looking for patterns and trends.
And then they use those insights to refine their strategy and tweak their campaigns.
So it's a continuous process of improvement.
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, we set the strategy and we're done. They're constantly iterating and optimizing.
Which is how you stay ahead of the curve in the ever-changing world of digital marketing.
Absolutely. Okay, so they've got a lot of tools in their toolbox. They're using data to make smart decisions. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to client satisfaction, right?
That's what matters most. Keeping those clients happy.
Because if your clients aren't happy, they're going to go somewhere else.
Exactly.
And it seems like Hook really gets that. They're really focused on building trust and transparency with their clients.
So what are they doing to achieve that?
Well, first of all, they really emphasize tailoring solutions to each client's unique needs.
Okay, so they're not using a cookie-cutter approach.
Nope. They're really trying to understand the client's business, their goals, their target audience, and then they're crafting a strategy that's specifically designed to achieve those goals.
That makes sense. A personalized approach builds trust.
And they're using that data-driven approach that we talked about.
So showing the client the evidence.
Right. Like, here's the data, here's what's working, here's why we're making these decisions. It's not just like, trust me, I know what I'm doing.
It's about being transparent and accountable.
They also really emphasize open communication.
Oh, so keeping the client in the loop.
Keeping them informed every step of the way. Sending regular reports, having regular check-in calls, answering questions promptly, just making sure that the client feels like they're part of the process.
It's a partnership, not a dictatorship.
And lastly, they have a very experienced team. Like, their team has a lot of combined experience in the marketing world.
So they're not just a bunch of newbies.
Exactly. And I think that can give clients a lot of confidence. Like, okay, these people know what they're doing. They've been there, done that.
They've seen it all.
So it sounds like they're really doing a lot of things right when it comes to client satisfaction.
Yeah, it seems like they're hitting all the right notes. But let's be real for a second. The digital marketing world can be a bit risky.
It can be. It's constantly changing.
Algorithms shift, trends come and go. It's tough to keep up.
And it's important for agencies to acknowledge that, right? Like, to be upfront about the risks involved.
Absolutely. Transparency is key.
And it seems like Hook does a good job of that.
Oh, yeah. They address the risks head on.
They do. In their materials, they actually outline 6 key risk categories that they actively manage.
6. That's pretty comprehensive. What are they?
Okay, let me see if I can remember all 6. We've got market trends,
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
client acquisition,
Interesting.
operational risks.
So things that could go wrong internally.
Yeah, staffing issues,
Yeah.
process breakdowns, all that good stuff. Financial risks, of course.
Keeping the lights on.
Keeping the lights on. Technological risks. What happens if a platform goes down or there's a security breach?
Those are real concerns in the digital world.
And lastly, reputational risks.
Yes. The dreaded PR nightmare.
Because in the digital world, things can go viral very quickly.
And bad news travels fast.
So it's important to be prepared for that.
Absolutely. So it sounds like Hook is at least aware of the potential pitfalls, but how do they actually manage those risks?
Well, from what I can tell, they take a very proactive approach. They don't just wait for things to go wrong.
They're not just putting out fires.
Exactly. They try to identify potential risks in advance, assess how likely they are to happen, and how big of an impact they could have.
So they're doing their due diligence.
And then they put strategies in place to mitigate those risks.
So they're thinking ahead, being prepared.
And they also have contingency plans, for those just-in-case scenarios.
Always good to have a plan B.
Exactly. And perhaps most importantly, they regularly monitor and review how well their risk management strategies are working.
So they're not just setting it and forgetting it.
Nope, they're constantly updating and refining their approach to make sure that they're staying ahead of the curve.
That's smart, because the digital landscape is always changing.
It's a moving target.
You always have to be adapting.
But that level of proactive risk management can be really reassuring for clients.
Absolutely. Knowing that an agency is taking those steps can give clients a lot of peace of mind.
And it shows that they're not just focused on making a quick buck. They're really invested in the long-term success of their clients and the agency itself.
It's about building something sustainable.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground so far. We've talked about their focus on thought leadership, their wide range of services, their data-driven approach, their commitment to client satisfaction, and their proactive approach to risk management.
They sound like a pretty impressive agency.
They do. But I'm curious, what does Hook see for themselves in the future? Where do they want to go from here?
Do they have a grand vision?
They do. Their vision statement is to be the premier digital marketing partner for thought leaders worldwide. So they're not just thinking small.
Wow. That's ambitious. They want to be the go-to agency for thought leaders globally.
They do. And they're not just focused on helping their clients grow their businesses. They want to help them become recognized industry experts, influencing their fields and inspiring others.
So it's about more than just marketing. They're aiming for something bigger.
They're talking about impact, about making a difference in the world.
That's a pretty powerful vision.
It is. And it suggests that this is a company driven by more than just profit. They genuinely want to see their clients succeed and make a positive impact.
Which is refreshing, to be honest. A lot of agencies are just focused on the bottom line.
But Hook seems to be different. They're playing the long game. They're building a legacy.
And that's something worth paying attention to.
Absolutely. So we've talked about Hook's vision for the future. But now I want to turn it over to you, our listener. Knowing what you now know about Hook Digital Marketing, how do you think their specialized approach could benefit thought leaders compared to a more generalist marketing agency?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What are the advantages of working with an agency that really understands the unique needs and challenges of thought leaders?
And are there any potential downsides? Things to be wary of? We'd love to hear your perspective. Hit us up on social media or leave a comment on our website.
We'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into Hook Digital Marketing and the world of thought leadership.
Stay tuned.